Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So through this video, I will be talking about industrial relations subject. So we are quite aware that UPSC has received the requisition for APFC and enforcement officer from EPFO, and soon UPSC is going to publish the notification on its website. So as part of our preparation, industrial relations and labor laws is one of the subject. So through this video, I will be talking about the industrial relations as a whole. So I am planning to upload few video lectures of industrial relations subject. This subject has quite a big weightage in our examination, and I will try to simplify the concepts here so that you will be able to solve the questions in examination. So this is lecture 1.1, that is the first lecture as part of industrial relations. And in this video lecture, we will be talking about what is the concept of industrial relations, then who are the stakeholders in industrial relations, like who all participant in industrial relations, and finally what are the objectives of industrial relations. So this lecture is not going to be very long. This is the brief introduction of industrial relations as a subject. So let us start with the video. So if we talk about the concept of industrial relations, so you might be aware that in any industry we have two main components. कोई भी इंडस्ट्री ले लो, दो मेन components होंगे. एक होगा मैनेजमेंट. फर्स्ट वन इज द मैनेजमेंट इंक्लूडिंग द ओनर और द कैपिटलिस्ट, and the other side will have the labor who will be working hard in the production line to produce or something in that industry. So on one side we have management, and on other side we have labor. So these are the two main components in an industry. So why the need was felt to study the relations between them? So we know that the management, what they are trying to do, they are trying to invest in industry and they want to reap the profits here, they want to reap profits here. So they will, obviously they will want profits to be maximized, whereas on the other side labor are working hard day and night for productivity of the industry, and they would be expecting good wages in return. So as a result, the need to manage the relations between labor and management in industry was felt, and thus the concept of IR was born. Like we have to study the relation between this management and labor. So what will happen while working in industry, their objectives may sometimes clash with each other, and such a situation may prove to be detrimental to the interest of both management as well as the labor and overall to the economy of our country. Now, if we consider the traditional approach of industrial relation, traditional approach. So what this traditional approach talks about, it only talks about the relation between employers and their representatives and workers and their representatives. So it does not talk about the role of or intervention of government here. It only talks about employer and worker relationship. Whereas in modern approach of industrial relations, we have four main parties who are associated with any industrial relations system. And who are those four parties? First, the workers who are working in this industry, then the management who is investing in that industry, who will be making norms, rules, and regulations for that industry. The third one is the organization of workers. So here, organization of workers, we mean the trade unions we are talking here. And finally, the management and state. Organization, trade union and their management, and finally the state. By state here we means the government. So modern approach to industrial relation contain four main parties who are involved in any industrial relation. There are labor, then there is the management of that industry, then trade union and their management, and finally the government who will be involved in the party. So modern approach also includes organizing of workers, workers participation in decision making in that industry, dispute settlement, and collective bargaining. So while studying traditional approach, we were only focusing on the employer and worker relationship. We are not taking into account the benefit of workers, or whether they are participating in decision making, or there is any dispute settlement mechanism. These things were not actually considered in traditional approach, whereas in modern approach all these things are now being considered. Like we are working towards the welfare of our worker or labor in labor class, and they are also having a say in the decisions taken by the management of that company. So this is what is industrial relations. Now if we consider the other part, so uh, why the need of state was felt, intervention of state was felt. So the institutions which devise and implement network of rules, norms and regulations are also an important component in any study of industrial relations. So we know that in India we have government. So government will be devising some rules, norms, and regulations for any industry, and as a result, the role of state is very important in studying industrial relations. So when government agencies are involved, so this gives rise to tripartite nature of industrial relations. Tripartite means there are three parties to the industrial relations. Earlier it was bipartite, only two parties were there, that is employers and the management, sorry, employers and the workers. Whereas now with the involvement of government agencies, we have tripartite nature of industrial relations, with labor being the first party, management second party, and state as the other party. So there are three actors involved. So why the state intervention was required? So it was required to achieve cooperation and social justice, because earlier we know that the labor class was were toiling hard day and night, and in return wages were very low. So as a result, government had to intervene so that some minimum wages are offered to our labor class. Then state also acts as a regulatory body for industrial relations in India. Like we know that EPFO is also a regulatory body. So it is working towards the welfare of our industrial workers through provident fund. So finally we can define industrial relations as a means by which various interests involved in labor market are accommodated. So various interests, different parties will be having different interests. We have to accommodate all those interests primarily for the purpose of regulating employment relationships. So if we are not accommodating the interest of all the stakeholders, it may lead to dispute, and finally it may lead to strikes and other things which we'll be discussing in further lectures. Now moving on, if we talk about the other part, so here through this diagram you can see who are all the participants in the industrial relation. So on one side we have the management of that industry, so they will be investing in that industry, this management. In return they will be expecting that my company or my industry makes huge profits. Then there will be employees and their association. So employees will be the ones who will be actually working in that industry, and employees may have trade unions in that industry. So these are the second stakeholders or participants. Management is the first. And finally, as I said, there are statutory authorities, like there is government intervention, so state as an actor comes into picture. So if we look at the participants in industrial relations, so broadly there are three participants: management, employees, and the state. So here also we can see the different participants. We have employees in the industry, we have their associations like trade unions, which is written here. Then we have courts and tribunals. So if any dispute is not settled within the industry, so yeah, either one of the party may go to tribunals or court for justice. Then there is government who will be making some norms, regulations for better relations between the both, and then will be employers as well. So these are all stakeholders which are involved in the study of industrial relations. So finally, in this lecture, we'll be seeing the objectives of the industrial relation, what industrial relations aims at. So apart from primary objective of bringing sound and healthy relations between employers and employees, industrial relations aims at to facilitate production and productivity. So any industry, it would want good productions, and it would always try to work at good productivity so that maximum profits are benefited. Then to safeguard the rights and interests of both labor and management by enlisting their cooperation. So this is what industrial relation aims at. We have to look at the interests of both management as well as labor. to achieve a sound, harmonious, and mutually beneficial labor management. We have to see the relation between them are mutually beneficial. It is not detrimental to the interest of any one party. To avoid unhealthy atmosphere in an industry like work stoppages, then go slows, gherao, strikes, lockouts. So these are the terms which we'll be discussing in our future lectures. So if these are the things happening in industry, so ultimately it will affect the production and productivity, and it will lead to unhealthy atmosphere in our industry. And finally, to establish and maintain industrial democracy. So this is also one of the most important thing what we observe in this industrial relations. So that's what I wanted to discuss in this starting introduction video of industrial relations. So you must have understood what we mean by industrial relation. Stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube channel for further lectures related to industrial relations. Thank you once again.